So what is the best mouse for architecture, design and CAD use? I've done a list of 15 of the most popular mice, useful for both architects, and a good mouse allows us to work much more precisely and be able to control our movements better, which means that we will have less movement around and less tension on the hand. I think that's really important because I'm sure that there have been many of us with late nights or working too many hours where the wrist starts to hurt. I want to talk about the best products of them all and a couple of solutions that I think would be helpful that I use personally that might be useful for you as well. I'm going to go straight to my favorite mouse, and it's in this little box here, and this is the CadMouse Pro Wireless. This is a top-end model by 3D Connection. They're the same guys that make the 3D mice. There's one model that you may be quite familiar with, and it's a wonderful mouse for multiple reasons. Reason number one is it has a dedicated middle mouse button. So there's 3 buttons, and that button is customizable. So if some apps, for example, I use Rhino, and to manipulate a 3D viewport, we use the right-hand mouse button. I've mapped it to the middle mouse button. With Blender, with Revit and so on, we still have a middle mouse button, which is much nicer to press, especially since we press it so much than pressing on the scroller wheel. Now this comes with the same software like the 3D Connection mice, and it's customizable per app. It's the best customization software out there, I believe, for mice. Maybe besides gaming, but I don't use gaming mice, so I'm not sure to what level they can be customized. So a couple of other really good things about this. So as a really high-end mouse, as you would expect, you can connect via Bluetooth and via its receiver. Trying to focus it. Come on, focus. There you go. It can connect via Bluetooth or via a receiver. And just like the Logitech mice, you can hook up multiple 3D Connection products. For example, the 3D mouse and the CAD mouse using the same dongle. And usually with dongles, such a funny word, dongles. And with dongles, there tends to be a little bit less lag than there is with Bluetooth. So the best thing is wired. The second best is wireless receivers, and the third best is Bluetooth. That's not to say that Bluetooth is not great already, but the other ways to connect are much, much better. So let's talk about the connection to this mouse. That's probably the only thing that I wish they had improved on. It still uses micro USB as opposed to USB-C, which means that you still need to hang around for your micro USB cables, which I'm sure you might have plenty of for all the different kinds of accessories to connect this mouse. So it has 2 buttons, a forward and a backwards, and this one is quite large. So I'm about 6'2" or 185 centimeters, and it fits my hand pretty well. It's comfortable easily for 10-hour intense CAD or architecture or 3D work session. What could be improved with this mouse? Definitely want to see USB-C being connected here, and I would like to see an extra button somewhere. I wish there was perhaps over here, or a thumb button like the Logitech mice have. Would be great to allow for further customization. That's the one thing that I really wish I could see here. Or you could even put like another button over here in the middle. Another wonderful thing about 3D Connection is that they make these super awesome mouse pads. Now this one I've actually cut in 2 because the original one is big. I'll show you the original one. This is really a hidden weapon, a secret weapon of the CAD mouse, and it's super comfortable and super easy usage. So first off, it's big. They do have a smaller model that you can use. And I do wish that if they're making something this big, 3D Connection guys, please make a mat for the whole desk. So you know, the ones that we can put our keyboard on and our mouse. So something about, you know, this size that can sit on it with this kind of material. So the difference is that this is plastic. It's got a little bit of grip on it. So the friction that this computer pad provides, it's much less than the traditional fabric computer pads. Or maybe you don't even use a computer pad. I used to be like that until I got this, and this makes the biggest difference, especially with CAD mice that have these oversized feet. The grip on this really nice. So the high precision, the comfort and design, the 3D buttons, and the CAD mouse pad make this by far the best experience out there for using computer mice. Now, you might be curious about how it compares to another very popular mouse, the MX Master 3. This is also a very comfortable mouse. It can also be used for quite extended periods of time. But there are two things that I prefer for the CadMouse compared to the MX Master 3. And that is the middle mouse button that it's got and the software. So the software much better suited for CAD and architecture and design use than the general Logitech option software. Not that the Logitech option software is bad, it's actually great, but the 3D connection software also has radial menus, so you can assign loads of shortcuts if you want to one of their buttons. So 3D Connection make a few models of these, and there's the two standard ones. So this is the big one, the CadMouse Pro Wireless, and this is the smaller one, the CadMouse Compact Wireless. But this one is a little bit more compact, and I do use it as well a lot. And what I like about it is that you actually have a couple of different ways if you have big hands to grab it, and it's very comfortable for all days use. So if there was one mouse that I would absolutely want to have for both the road and at home, that would be the CadMouse Compact Wireless. But I believe these days nobody should really be using one mouse. You should have a main mouse and a second mouse. I have second mice and I have a lot of mice. So what are my other favorites that I like to use? Well, I really like this older generation Logitech M570 trackpad. Now they have the M575 trackpad. So this is not a mouse. You use your thumb to move around. What I particularly like about it is that it has a completely different motion for the hand. So there's different muscles that get used. If you feel a bit of strain on your wrist, you can go and switch to something like this and it would alleviate your wrist. Nowhere near as accurate as a proper mouse, but I do like it. I've reviewed 15 of the most popular mice on my website, and the link is again here. But what other ones are cool that you might be curious about? So maybe we should talk about vertical mice. Right? So here I have the most popular one that you can find on Amazon, the Anker wireless, which is like $10 or $15 or pounds or euros. And then there's the slightly more expensive, many times more expensive MX vertical mice. Now, I do like these. I have used them extensively full time, but first off, I don't find them as accurate as the other mice. And the other thing that I find a little bit annoying is that if I need to use the keyboard and I need to switch my hand around it, it's higher, so it takes a little bit more muscles. It takes a little bit more effort to go between the mouse and the keyboard. And what about then the compact mice like the Logitech M535? I think this is an excellent mouse, and in fact, if there was a second option that I would highly recommend besides having just one primary mouse of the CadMouse Compact Wireless, it would be to have the CadMouse Pro Wireless and the Logitech M535. Now, again, because these are so different in size, the way this handles versus the way that this handles is quite different, so it does give some alleviation for the hand. And this also makes an excellent travel mouse. Not as good as the CadMouse Wireless because this is more accurate, but it is a little bit more compact. So definitely recommend both of them. Is the investment really worth it? I mean, some of these mouses are quite expensive. Over the MX Master 3 is about $100, pounds or euros, and the CadMouse Pro Wireless is even more than that. So is that money well spent? I definitely think so. In fact, I was quite reluctant initially to get an expensive mouse. I was always using cheap ones, but at one point I decided to get the Space Mouse Enterprise as a kit with the CadMouse Pro Wired. And that changed my life. I was amazed how better that mouse is and how better my wrist felt even compared to an upright and vertical mouse like this one. So the accuracy and the comfort is a return on investment that I think is definitely worth it. My health is worth those money, and the increased amount of productivity and wellness in my hand is definitely worth those money as well. I hope that sums it up. What is your favorite mouse that you use, and which one do you prefer out of the ones that I've shown? And I don't think a lot of people know about 3D Connection, the CadMouse, and I think a lot more people should, especially if you are an architect, designer, creator, anybody that really works a long time on the computer, especially using a middle mouse button, because it makes the biggest difference to have a dedicated middle mouse button. Thank you very much and see you next time.